And I'm still working on the case every day behind the scenes, but there's a lot of work that goes into trying to confirm things and talking to sources, and that doesn't always lend itself to me doing a new episode every single day. But I'm obviously staying on the story, and I'm working very hard on it every single day still. This episode, though, is so interesting.
Some stories are told to inform, but others are told to conceal. For the past several weeks, you have been told what the authorities wanted you to hear. But today, we dive into the depths of a truth that was kept locked in a dark room for 11 long weeks. Brian Entin, the News Nation reporter who has tracked every heartbeat of this investigation, has finally exposed the secrets that are haunting the local system. Brian looked directly into the camera lens and issued a chilling prediction. Race to this location, an arrest is coming. But why has this arrest taken so long? Was the suspect a mastermind, or was the path cleared for them? Imagine an 84-year-old woman, Nancy Guthrie, entering the safety of her home in the Catalina foothills. The garage door closes at 9:50 p.m. She is safe. Or so the world thought. But in the next 4 hours and 38 minutes, something happens that becomes a forensic enigma. Her pacemaker, a silent witness inside her own chest, stops syncing to the home network at exactly 2:28 a.m. Behind this silence lies a story that Brian Entin has labeled a cover-up. Shocking. The FBI, the world's premier investigative agency, was blocked from even touching the evidence for months. Why? Because according to Brian Entin, this wasn't just incompetence. It was something much darker. The greatest enemy of any investigation is time. The first 48 hours decide whether a killer goes to jail or vanishes. Yet, here, for 11 weeks, 7 to 7 days, DNA samples were imprisoned in a private Florida lab. The FBI screamed from Quantico, "Give us this evidence. Our machines are the best in the world," but they were blocked. Think about it. When a federal agency has to publicly express its fury just to get access to evidence, it means the internal walls are built very high. Was someone afraid that Quantico's lab would scream the truth that local authorities couldn't stomach? This delay wasn't just a bureaucratic mistake. In the world of forensic biology, DNA degrades. Heat, humidity, and time eat away at the genetic markers. By keeping that evidence away from the FBI's advanced cold case technology, the local authorities essentially gave the killer an 11-week head start. Brian Entin's reporting suggests that this conflict between the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI was a quiet, professional war that almost derailed the entire search for Nancy Guthrie. When Brian Entin exposed this, the system shook. The FBI stated bluntly, "There is no new DNA evidence. We requested this 2 months ago." These weren't just words. They were a slap in the face of a local system that spent months playing an ego war. But was it just ego, or was it intention? Brian's insider sources say authorities are walking on eggshells. And why shouldn't they? The supervisor leading the response on the first night had never handled a single homicide case in his entire career. Nancy Guthrie, whose daughter Savannah Guthrie is one of the biggest journalists in America, had her case handed to an amateur. The result of this inexperience was catastrophic. They treated the home not as a violent crime scene, but as a search and rescue for a confused elderly woman who might have wandered off. While the killer's scent was still fresh, while the tires of the getaway car were still warm, the authorities were looking in the wrong direction. Precious time was wasted, the crime scene was not properly cordoned off, and the perpetrator was given the gift of silence. Now, let's talk about the suspect captured on the doorbell camera. They didn't look like ordinary thieves. They used signal jammers. This isn't something you find at a local hardware store. This is illegal technology. It's expensive, and it requires technical expertise to operate. They blinded the security of the entire neighborhood. The moment Nancy's pacemaker stopped syncing, the world had already gone dark. A signal jammer emits radio frequency interference that disrupts Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular signals. This means the suspect knew exactly what kind of security system Nancy had. They knew the frequencies. They tested the device. This wasn't an impulsive act. This was a military-grade execution. This level of planning suggests retribution, someone carefully settling an old score. Doctor and Burgess, the woman who helped create the FBI's behavioral science program, says this case is personal. It wasn't meant just to hurt Nancy, but to destroy the Guthrie family. In cases of retribution, the victim is often chosen to send a message to the survivors. The perpetrator wants the family to feel the helplessness, the lack of closure, and the agonizing weight. But the killer made one mistake in a place they never expected. The bite flashlight. In the doorbell footage, the masked figure is seen with a flashlight held firmly between their teeth. C.C. Moore, the world's top DNA expert, says that when you grip something with your teeth under stress, saliva transfer is inevitable. The human mouth is a factory of biological evidence. The killer wore gloves on his hands to defeat fingerprints, and he covered his face to defeat facial recognition, but he wrote his own death warrant with his mouth. Saliva contains a high concentration of DNA, and C.C. Moore has confirmed that this evidence is workable. And now, the biggest shock. In March, a report surfaced that a DNA match was found from a glove found 2 miles from the home. But months have passed. Why hasn't the name been released? Are authorities watching that suspect to find a bigger mastermind? Or is that person so close to the system that the authorities' hands are shaking at the thought of naming them? If a match exists in the system, and no arrest has been made, it implies that the individual identified has an innocent explanation that must be disproven, or they are being used as a pawn to catch a larger fish. Now, the tide is turning. Brian Entin confirmed that Sheriff Chris Nanos had to answer questions under oath. This is the nuclear option of the legal world. When a sheriff is placed under oath in a formal proceeding, the era of vague press releases is over. The questions and answers behind closed doors have started to crack the walls of this cover-up. The transfer to Quantico and the sheriff being under oath are proof that local politics are ending and federal justice is beginning. Quantico's scientists are now decoding the mixed sample found inside the residence. This sample contains DNA from 3 separate people, Nancy herself, and 2 unknown profiles. One of these unknowns is a confirmed male. This changes the narrative from a lone wolf kidnapper to a coordinated team. 2 people inside the home. 2 people leaving their genetic signature on the very bedsheets where Nancy was taken. Bed sheet evidence is a goldmine for forensic genealogists. It holds skin cells, sweat, and hair, the structural blueprints of a human being. The Florida lab couldn't separate these complex mixtures, but Quantico has the probabilistic genotyping software to pull those profiles apart. Once those profiles are isolated, the FBI's investigative genealogy unit takes over. This is the process that caught the Golden State Killer. They take the unknown DNA and upload it to public databases like GEDmatch and FamilyTree DNA. They don't look for the killer. They look for the killer's third cousins. They build massive family trees, branch by branch, generation by generation, until all roads lead to one person. C.C. Moore says this process takes about 6 months. If the clock started when the evidence arrived at Quantico, the fall of 2026 is when the trap snaps shut. The investigation was stagnant for months, but now science has taken the lead. The walls of the cover-up are falling. Brian Entin's hard work and the FBI's persistence have brought this case back to life. Every hour that Brian spends in Tucson, every door he knocks on, and every source he develops is a nail in the coffin of this cover-up. He knows something. He has seen the tension inside the department. When he says, "Race to this location," he is hearing the footsteps of the FBI getting closer to the suspect's door. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. Time is running out for her, but the killer's time is now destined to be spent behind bars. The silence from the Pima County Sheriff's Office is no longer the silence of an ongoing investigation. It is the silence of an institution under federal scrutiny. The FBI didn't just take the DNA, they took control of the narrative. They are no longer asking for cooperation, they are demanding it. Even as you watch this video, a scientist at Quantico is likely decoding the DNA pulled from that flashlight. The genealogical trees are being built. The suspect pool is shrinking. The signal jammer, the amateur supervisor, the 11-week delay, none of it was enough to stop the truth. The Nancy Guthrie case isn't just a mysterious disappearance. It is a saga of systemic failure and a victory for investigative journalism. Brian Entin is waiting for the call. The world is waiting for the call. And soon, the person who thought they could hide behind a mask and a signal jammer will find out that in 2026, there is no such thing as a perfect crime. What do you think? Was this truly a cover-up? Did Sheriff Nanos intentionally keep the FBI 11 weeks behind to protect someone? And the most important question, whose name is on that DNA match from the glove? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay with us for more investigative updates. We will keep watching this pattern so that when that race to this location call finally comes, you are the first to know. The truth is coming, and it will be shocking. Stay alert. Thank you for watching.